Saga is about as manly as... Saga, Volume 1, published by Image Comics, written by Brian K. Vaughan, with art by Fiona Staples, and lettering and design by Phonographics. Saga is a space-age high fantasy story of a pair of love-struck deserters, Alana and Marco, as they navigate their newborn daughter Hazel off a warring planet, with both a government agent and a vicious bounty hunter known as a freelancer track them. Also, it has enough graphic sex in it to make me think it was written by a virgin. Is it good? No one can decide that for you but you. But is it manly? Let's get into it. Marco is a sissy who gets bossed around by his haircut wife while she's living out some romance novel fantasy. This type of ideological simpleton believes that violence is always negative, even in the face of an army hunting you down. The only time he did the manly thing, which was destroy those who seek to harm his family, was when he lost his temper after Alana is hurt. Then once he dispatched the soldiers who shot her, she's miraculously conscious again to shoot him in the chest with a stun gun in order to prevent him killing the people who just tried killing them. Then he uses his magic to put a binding spell on the soldiers to keep them stable until medical arrives. You know, gotta keep the killer stable. I have a bad feeling this story is going to be a series of completely solvable problems that keep coming back to haunt them again and again. And finally, knowing they're still being chased by at least one army and a freelancer, this dummy breaks his weapon as a vow to never engage in violence again. There's a secondary male character, the Will, a freelancer who displays all the traits that can be legitimately classified as toxic masculinity. When the Will has his heart broken, he goes to some deviant intergalactic brothel with an infinite credit line, which he stole from his employers, fixin' to engage in some debauchery. Fellas, paying for it is not masculine. Then, after complaining that the place is a little tame, he's presented with a child prostitute, which causes him to immediately murder the person who brought him the child in an attempt to save the girl. Save the girl? Good. Smashing a low-level employee's head between your hands when you have an effectively unlimited credit line with which to purchase the little girl's freedom? Fucking retarded. And finally, after he finds that the woman who broke his heart has been killed, he vows to hunt the killer down. Fellas, vengeance is the second least masculine form of violence, after entirely unprovoked violence. Super beta from a character who could have been alpha as fuck. The final prominent male character is a computer-faced, literally computer-faced, prince, who is tasked with leading the manhunt of Marco the Deserter and Alana the Traitor. He seems to be doing his sworn duty to his people, but I don't see any major indicators either way. I'll leave him out of the score since I don't have a good read on him. As for Marco and the Will, 1 out of 3. The agency of Marco is minimal. He basically follows Alana on her little adventure using a map he's convinced is fake, but he follows anyway. To places he's convinced don't exist, but he follows anyway. To find a rocket ship tree he's convinced isn't real, yet he follows anyway. And as mentioned before, the time that he chooses to take action is portrayed as though he was out of control and psychotic until Alana can reel him in and restore sanity to the dumb boy. Good thing she was around. The Will, on the other hand, is all about agency. He'd better be. He's called the Will. He should probably act on his own will. He just happens to be an idiot who takes only the dumbest path available to him. But hey, agency is agency, and the Will has it in spades. Between Marco and the Will, 2 out of 3. What does the narrative reward? Well, Marco and Alana both shirked their duties and betrayed their work to have a torrid love affair with the enemy, and were rewarded with a beautiful baby girl. Then, they blindly followed a hand-drawn fantasy map, which was delivered to them by their betrayer after the betrayal, and they were rewarded with exactly what they needed to get off the planet. So, abandon your responsibilities in favor of childish adventures, and you'll get everything you've ever wanted. And what does the narrative punish? They killed a freelancer, which is good, but the way it happened wasn't painted as a righteous comeuppance for the hunter's past murderers. It seemed more like a clunky metaphor for police officers shooting unarmed civilians. Viewer, reader, you make the call for yourself. Also, at a certain point, I feel like the book was trying to actually legitimize the idea of being a killer for hire, while simultaneously condemning pedophilia with this little exchange. How about this, Brian K. Vaughan? If you think either of these things can be reasoned away, then you are too far gone to follow. Both halves of this conversation are reprehensible, and you seem to be piling sympathy on the murderer for hire. Narrative values in Saga? 1 out of 3. The final word. If you're a teenage boy or a 40-something virgin looking to rub one out to graphic comic book sex, pick up Saga. If you're a moral relativist who wants to dig your heels in just a little deeper by sympathizing with murders, pick up Saga. If you want to read a story with strong men who at least try to live up to a consistent masculine moral code, you can probably skip this one. Saga is about as manly as preparing tea and finger sandwiches in the kitchen while your wife's boyfriend rails her in your marital bed. With a total score of 4, Saga is for a minimum man. If you're still watching and just want somebody to tell you if it's good, that's not very manly. Be more man. That being said, I do have 2 review links right here for you. If you check one of these out, please leave a comment telling them Steven at No Borders Comics sent you. The view and the comment help them, the exposure helps me, and the review will help you. Everybody wins. Very manly. Also, like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want more like it.
Sweet words can persuade me to create another fiend. Birth is the right of man, so surely you will need her to be capable of what it takes to breathe.